I was in the middle of completing my performance degree before all of this kicked off, and my final performance was going to be a performances research, and it was supposed to be a few weeks ago, and I did mine around suicide, and specifically suicide in young men and the stigma that surrounds that demographic and talking about it. And in the performance, I was going to anonymously talk about my own experiences. I want to share my experience now and hope that maybe it might help somebody. I have it written down because in the piece it was written down, and I do go into detail about my suicide attempt. Not a lot, it's just if you don't want to hear that, I would not watch this. But yeah, I remember the feeling of hopelessness. I remember feeling so empty. I had reached out to my doctors, but they told me it was angst and that everybody feels a little moody. My anxiety knew they were wrong, but I was too afraid to speak up. I would spend nights ringing Samaritans and Childline, but not being able to say anything to them. And I didn't want to tell my parents how I was feeling because I was afraid of letting them down and disappointing them. And I was really ashamed of my emotions. And living became really difficult, and it felt like I had all the disadvantages of living a double life. My friends didn't have a clue. I was moody around them at times, but they confused my depressions with bad mood. They always checked up on me, and they always checked in, and they were always looking out for me. And looking back on it, I know that they cared a lot about me, and they were trying to help. But my depression wasn't letting them. I was too unwell to notice it, and I was pushing them away. It began eating me up inside, and I began drinking a lot. I started binge drinking 3 to 5 times a week, and I would shake off all of my responsibilities. I would avoid going into lessons, and I would avoid the youth group that I was volunteering for at the time. I began pushing people away, and I became obsessed with hating myself. I tasted the patience of everybody I surrounded myself with, and I became insufferable to be around. I damaged friendships in this period of my life that I still have trouble trying to repair today. And then one morning, I had had enough. I had lost all rational thought, and driven by overpowering emotion, I went out and I bought multiple packets of painkillers. And then in break, I just put them all down my throat and washed it down with a bottle. And I sat there in class for an hour before I began to feel like what was happening. And I remember feeling my stomach start to burn. And I realised then in that moment what I had done. And I remembered my family and my friends. And I remembered the people that loved me and the people that cared for me. And that I wasn't the only person affected by this. Immediately I was overcome with regret. I reached out to the tutor who was there at the time, and she called for an ambulance. It was my friend's dad who was the paramedic. And he rushed me to the hospital, and I remember very clearly, I remember asking him to keep this situation our little secret because he was my mate's dad. But I don't remember much after that. Next thing I know, I'm in hospital, in bed, with a stomach that is on fire. The pain I felt in that moment was hard, but what was even harder was looking at my mum and my dad and the people who raised me and brought me up, and realising how much I had hurt them. They were trying to be the strong, supportive parents that they thought they needed to be. But it felt wrong, lying there, looking to the people who raised me and made me the man that I am, knowing my actions had consequences. And it felt like I had broken everybody's heart. And my dad, being the man that he is, tried to make light of the situation, and I really appreciated it in that moment. But I knew that he wasn't okay. I got discharged to the hospital on the same day because I knew straight away what I had done was a mistake. I had no intentions of hurting myself again. After I got discharged, things became clearer. My depression and my anxiety didn't go away, but I found a new appreciation of life. I understood that this life is a gift and that depression is a challenge that I had to face. I began fighting back, and I searched for a new doctor who gave me proper treatment, and I tried to find a job that I liked, and I completed the course I was on at the time, even though I knew that that's not the path I was going down. After my attempt, one thing that became quite difficult for me was the questions. In particular, why did you do it? My family and my friends obviously wanted to know. I understand why they wanted to know. I never wrote a note. I never gave a reason. I just did it on impulse. And I found it difficult when people asked me that question because I was asking that question myself. And it took a few years for me to figure that out. But I finally got there. At that time in my life, I despised my existence. I hated the man that I thought I was. Every day I got up and every time I looked in the mirror, I felt disgusted. In my imagination, I would play out scenarios in my head that were unhealthy, and I would be ashamed of these things that were like in my head. I believed that I was an evil man and that I couldn't trust myself to do good in this world. And I thought that ending my life would improve the quality of the people's lives around me. My depression polluted my thoughts. That was in 2014. It's been nearly 6 years since I tried to kill myself. And things aren't perfect, because that isn't how life works. I still suffer from depression. I still suffer from anxiety. And I still find it difficult to open up and maintain friendships. But I am progressing. I am thankful that I survived my suicide attempt because it gave me the opportunity to see how my death could have affected others. At that stage of my life, I was a young man coming to the end of his teenage years. A man who hadn't known where he'd fit in yet. I was given the second chance to re-embrace my life. Young men find it difficult to speak up in difficult times, and I'm saying that from experience. Shame was a strong aspect of that for myself. You see, I can't speak for everybody. I can just only speak from my experience. If I could go back to the man I was before I tried to end my life, if I could give that wee arsehole a piece of advice, I'd let him know that he has no reason to be ashamed. He's a strong-willed man who's made his friends and his family proud. There's no shame in an open up to your family and friends. You will find strong confidence in them, and you will find support that you need. If people ever tell you that your mental illness isn't valid for any reason, then find a different support network. There are multiple networks out there, multiple charities that are readily available for you to utilise, and different doctors who will respect what you're trying to say and do everything in their power to help you. I think now, I wrote that a couple of months ago, and I think now is an important time to talk about mental health because we're all stuck inside and everybody's affected by it. It's difficult to assume what everybody's going through because everybody's mental health is different. But everyone should know that even though they're isolated right now, they're not alone. And they do have people they can talk to. There's still charities that are active out there. Samaritans is still going. It's important that we're all there. We're all there to show support. If you are going through a tough time, you can reach out to me. I'll point you in the right direction. I'll try and help you myself if I can. Thanks.